Welcome to the BBB podcast, beers, B-movies, and battle royales. I'm Nick Zamboni.
And I'm Sam Collins.
Let's crack one open, Sam. Oh, that's weak. I'm going to go.
All right.
Oh,
that was
sounds
a good one.
so good.
All right.
So we are finally back after a really long holiday break. Sam, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Pretty stressed out in general, but I'm glad that we're picking this up again. Hopefully we can get gain some momentum going.
Yeah, so glad we can add this to your schedule to stress you out even more.
Oh, this doesn't stress me out at all. It's just like we had a very interesting leading up point to this moment right now. We had some technical difficulties. Basically, incompetence on both of our parts, but it was fun, and we can talk about it later.
Yeah, lots of work. Great job, Sam. We're doing great. So do you want to just go ahead and jump right in? Do you want to talk about what beer we're drinking?
Yeah. Today we are drinking the Appalachian Mountain Brewery from the good old mountains of Boone, North Carolina. We are drinking the Slice of Paradise Sour. It is an ale brewed with peaches, with vanilla, cinnamon, and graham crackers. Honestly, this is a really good beer. Like, I feel like Nick and I are very partial to sours, so it'd be interesting to have someone on here and then give them a sour and hear what they say about it.
We're gonna have to try some other types of beers because so far all we've tried are sour beers.
No, we tried Oktoberfest. But
oh God, you're right. Oktoberfest is pretty good.
I do like this beer though. It's like it's got a very typical kind of color for a sour. Like it's a faint yellow. Kind of like pea, but
yeah, you said a pea color earlier.
But it's a fruity sour. So like, I would recommend this to someone who maybe is on the fence about sours or even wants to try one. I can definitely taste the cinnamon and like the vanilla. Don't really taste the graham crackers. Like, I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. I don't really see how you taste that in the beverage. Because it just like disintegrates as soon as you put it in liquid. Like, I've baked cookies before.
I feel like I get a little bit of the graham cracker. I think maybe my palate is just more prepared than yours, but
all right.
I had some Chick-fil-A before we started. It's a good palate cleanser.
I haven't been able to smell for the past like 6 months, so that's probably why I can't taste the graham cracker.
I get a little bit of that vanilla graham cracker in there. I agree. I'm pretty high on this beer, and you were the one that picked it, so I'm gonna have to give you props here because this is gonna be kind of on my regular rotation now that you've kind of put this in my life.
Hopefully it's not a seasonal beer.
It kind of looks like it is.
It's got like a sour series, so I guess
it's got like a Thanksgiving pie on the front of it.
So it probably is seasonal.
That was a while ago, but
Appalachian Mountain Brewery is my favorite brewery by far. I'm pretty biased because I went to Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina, and this is where I'd go every Thursday night basically and try their beers and play some cornhole. But I'm a big supporter of Appalachian Mountain Brewery, and I'm really excited to try this beer, and I'm glad that I enjoy it. I think I'm going to give it 5 tabs out of 5 tabs.
Wow.
Just because it's smooth. It's got a good start taste and a good aftertaste, even for a sour. Usually that's the part I don't like about sours is the aftertaste. Like, it kind of tastes gross, but this one is like, it's still got a little bit of a kick to it, and it's definitely sour, but it's a little smoother and fruitier. Nick, you said it earlier, it's like a fruity
5 tabs.
Yeah,
that's pretty high. I have to agree. I don't know if I'm gonna give it 5. I'm gonna talk before I give my like rating, but I think the aftertaste for sour beers is always something that kind of puts people off, but I totally agree that for this particular one, the aftertaste is like a positive part of it. It's like something that if sour beer isn't your thing, you could probably still be into it because it's like it's like fruity too. It's not just like sea salt, which doesn't even say there's sea salt in this one. So like maybe that's the key to it. But yeah, I'm gonna say 4.5 out of 5 because the Sequench Ale is still like hands down my favorite.
It's really good
from the unreleased episode.
I kind of want to have this and then the Sequench Ale immediately after that, and then kind of like have a taste test. But if you have any beers that you'd like us to try, please find us on Twitter at BBB Nick and Sam, and give us a suggestion.
Yeah, we're gonna try to record every other Tuesday, with time permitting, and
Keep us accountable, guys.
Yeah, if we change that schedule, we'll post it on Twitter or let you guys know. But try to get your questions in or any suggestions that you have for movies or content or beers, just by like Mondays if you can, just so we can kind of prepare and actually have thoughtful conversation about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's ideal.
So yeah, we're back after a long break, just in time for World War III. Sam, how old are you?
26. I had to think about that one.
You can get drafted.
Oh,
it could
yeah.
really happen.
I did sign my life away. My dad made me sign the papers, actually.
Well, the government makes you do it.
Well, my dad was like, you gotta sign this now. You're 18. Like, it's like, I can't remember what it's called. It's like something draft.
I'm safe.
I have asthma, so like, if they called me up, they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna die." All right,
gosh.
nope. Just put me in the.
Let's hope that.
I should be a forensic accountant for the Army.
What'd you say?
I can be a forensic accountant for the Army.
You could do that. You could do. That'd be nice.
Track down whoever needs their money to be tracked down. I don't want to point fingers at Russia or Iran, but those are probably the money that I'm going to be tracking down.
There you go. Perfect. We found your calling. Okay, so Sam, what movie did we go see together? We actually saw this one in theaters together.
We watched The Grudge, the 2020 version.
The reboot of the 2004 Grudge.
Which is a pretty quick turnaround for a reboot, like 16 years. Like,
yeah, well, if you think about it, not so much anymore. If you think about like Marvel movies and like how they just like churn out like sequels and reboots and all that kind of stuff. It seems like
Spider-Man.
Things are coming out quicker and quick. Yeah, Spider-Man. It's like every year that there's like a new like piece to the puzzle. So if you think about it, like in the grand scheme, it has been quite a while. But you actually have 3 other movies in the franchise. You have the 2004 The Grudge, you have Grudge 2, you have Grudge 3, and now you have The Grudge. Sweet. Which is the same as the 2004 name.
Gotcha.
So it's super confusing.
Yeah.
So it's not that, it's actually a pretty quick turnaround if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you put in Grudge 2 and 3, it's like right back to back.
I have not seen the original Grudge, so this was kind of, I've heard good things about it from many people, and I've also heard very bad things. It's kind of a polarizing horror movie.
It is, and that's the thing about the Grudge, the original Grudge 2004 is like, it was one of those movies that wasn't necessarily good, but it still like is a huge piece of pop culture like iconography where like you have like scary children and like the big eye demons and stuff that's the Grudge. Like they came out with that. You also have The Ring, which is also a similar kind of shtick, but
better.
Yeah, The Ring is definitely like regarded much higher, but okay, so we actually saw this in theaters together. We have some thoughts about this.
I'll talk about that later.
Okay, we'll come back to it. So The Grudge 2020, well, I guess 2019 technically. I keep saying 2020, but The Grudge 2019 is directed by Nicholas Pesky, who also directed horror movies such as The Eyes of My Mother and Piercing. For those of you who don't know, The Grudge is a reboot of the 2004 American remake, also called The Grudge. The 2004 movie is a remake of a very popular Japanese horror film called Ju-on, and I'm probably not saying that right. I'm sorry, Japan.
We should got Tony in here.
What?
Should got Tony in here.
We should have got Tony. Is he Japanese?
No.
That
was kind of racist. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so it's a remake of a Japanese horror film called Ju-on, which is ultra popular in Japan and has tons and tons of remakes. There's actually 4 American Grudge movies, which I talked about. This most recent one in 2019 being number 4. If you haven't seen the 2004 reboot or original, it works from the premise that there's a terrible curse born when someone dies in the grip of extreme rage or sorrow. The curse is passed down from victim to victim forever. The 2004 movie takes place in Tokyo, Japan, and our 2019 movie picks up after many families have died in Tokyo. So this movie and the original is told in a non-linear timeline, so it can get kind of confusing. So when I'm going through the plot, I'm going to say it in a linear timeline because it's just much easier to understand. What did you kind of catch that in the movie, like when it was like going like back and forth?
Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of used to those kind of movies, and like but yeah, I was like, oh, that like was confusing to start out, but I was like, I was tracking immediately into it.
Yeah, this one was pretty basic, honestly, and it was, you know, someone who really wasn't paying attention could still probably follow the timeline.
Yeah.
So it opens up with one of the first kind of families in the house. So it comes back to actually the Tokyo, Japan house. Live-in nurse Fiona Landers is her name. She's seen rushing out of the original Grudge house in Tokyo, calling a friend to tell her that she needs to come back to America to see her family because she's so disturbed by some of the things that she's been witnessing in the house. Unknowingly to her, she brings the curse with her to her home at 44 Rayburn Drive in Pennsylvania. They don't say what town in Pennsylvania, it's just a town in Pennsylvania. True to the spirit of the movie, she proceeds to drown her daughter, bludgeon her husband, and take her own life. And so like basically the whole premise of the Grudge movies is it possesses a person and they kill everyone in the house. So it's basically copy and paste over and over again, same thing.
Different murders.
Yeah, different
murder
families.
styles.
Yeah. And it's like no one catches on until like it's too late. So you have that nurse that comes from Tokyo and moves back home to her family. She brings the curse to America with her. So interstage right, the Spencer family, Peter and Nina Spencer are husband and wife realtors who are trying to sell this home. Peter becomes possessed by the curse and, you guessed it, also murders his family. Copy and paste to the Matheson family, who are an elderly couple. Faith, who is the elderly wife, is she suffers from dementia. She's played by arguably the best part of the movie is Linda Shay, who is also in movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, Insidious, Ouija, a bunch of other movies. Can't remember.
Did you
the
confirm
other.
that she was in it? Or?
It's a different actress.
Oh dang, she looks very similar.
She looks a lot like the old lady in It Part 2, who is like actually the clown. But she's like that kind of actress. She's like really talented, really scary. She's really good at playing scary old lady. So anyways, she Mr. Matheson, this is like, we're going to come back to this because this part of the movie is extremely confusing. Mr. Matheson calls an assisted suicide doctor to kill his wife or help kill his wife, and guess what? That doesn't work, and the curse sees that they all die. And throughout this whole movie, you have in the background the main character, who is Detective Muldoon, and she just moved to this town with her son Burke and has been investigating the curse and mysterious triple homicides. Essentially, we discover that anyone who enters the house is touched by the curse and is pretty much like dead. Like if you step foot in the house, it's over. Like the curse is going to follow you. And Muldoon witnesses the ghost of the curse throughout the movie and starts questioning her own sanity and the safety of her son. There's like a few scenes where she like almost kills someone on accident because like the curse is like tricking her and like making her see things that aren't there. And so basically like she has the great idea to burn down the house, which it's like the same story as like most horror movies, like
very cliche.
That'll fix the problem. So she like thinks that's going to end the cycle, and then you basically cut to the last scene where everything seems to be resolved because she like commits arson, even though she's a detective, and burns down the house. And congrats, clap your hands, everything's solved. But one of the last scenes is her hugging her son when he's on his way to school, and it's like zooming in on her hugging her son, and then all of a sudden you see her actual son run out the door, say, "Bye, Mom, have a good day," and she like looks and sees that she's holding the monster in her arms, and she gets dragged into a room and presumably dies with the curse just carrying on the cycle, which, you know, I don't really know like what to say about that other than yawn. Like,
Yeah.
pretty predictable ending. Same thing as to the 2004 movie, essentially.
Okay. So the curse lives on in the 2004 movie?
Yeah,
Obviously, because there's
she
Grudge
comes
2
from
and
the
Grudge
Tokyo.
3.
Yeah, she comes from the Tokyo house, and like everybody works from the premise that like the house is cursed and not the people, and like
Gotcha.
the whole underlying thing throughout the whole movie is like, no, it's the people that are cursed. Like, it follows the people and is like tied to the house as well. So it's super convenient. Like, the curse does whatever the heck it wants.
Yeah. So I guess it like becomes dormant whenever it finishes, and then it remains where that last murder happened, and then it attaches itself to people. And then, I mean, you could you figure that out just from like the girl coming back from Tokyo, bringing it with her. So
I don't know. I'm curious to kind of hear some of your thoughts. We talked about it briefly, but tried not to get too much into it so that we could just kind of talk about it, you know, spontaneously. But I kind of feel like you haven't seen the 2004 one, but I have, and you didn't need to see the 2004 one to know what happened in it.
yeah,
But I kind of feel like this is just like what I said earlier, just a copy and paste
more of the same.
Yeah, it's the same. I haven't seen the Grudge 2 and the Grudge 3, and I feel like I don't need to have seen them to know that they're equally bad as well. But it was so boring. Like, I was so bored. Like, every jump scare was predictable. Like, the story wasn't compelling. The characters were linear, and the best part was the Shay actress, where she played the old lady with dementia, because that was the scariest part, is a crazy lady who's out of her mind and kills her husband. Like, that's kind of compelling, that's kind of interesting. But the story as a whole was super boring, super lame, like not interesting at all.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of the movie, but I was hoping that since there already had been a few Grudge movies, that they would kind of get more into the lore of kind of like the Grudge. Like, maybe talk about, like, I mean, I guess you can't, you talk about more about the murders, but I was hoping that, like, there'd be, like, an origin story. Just because, like, it says, like, at the beginning of the movie that it starts with someone getting killed out of rage, but there wasn't any of that at all. It was just kind of, oh, here's this curse, and it's carrying on, and it's going to continue carrying on. So, like, I wish they talked about kind of more of the beginning of which you'd think they would do that for if they're going to remake the Grudge series, which I assume they're probably going to make more of these.
Yeah, it certainly seems like they will, and I think that's kind of disappointing. From my perspective, it seems like they were trying to, like, buy off of the, like, momentum that came from the original Grudge, which was pretty popular, even though it wasn't a good movie. It was, like, a part of pop culture, and a lot of people saw it, and so they, like, used that to make this, like, something that people wanted to go see, but it just wasn't. Like,
I think the audience kind of, like, other than the movie being kind of boring, the audience kind of showed me, 'cause usually when you watch a horror movie at a movie theater, like, everyone is, like, reacting and then being like, oh my gosh, or, like, been saying some expletives or being rowdy and stuff. But honestly, like, the whole time it was just crickets, and every now and then someone would be like, oh, that was, like, have a gasp. But it usually was before the actual jump scare, and, like, they were just gasping because they knew it was coming, and, like, oh my gosh. And
you and I have seen quite a few horror movies together, and, like, we've experienced that most of the time, because we try and, I feel like now we're going to get into a habit of going to see bad movies together, but most of the time we've seen pretty good movies together, and we get those, like, really, like, raw reactions from the crowd, and, like, that adds to the experience. And, like, there's, like, one scream from one random girl that was, like, just, she shouldn't have been there. But it's like, it just, like, it wasn't an experience that it wasn't a horror movie experience. It was just like some jump scares. Ooh, and I forgot to write something down, but I'm glad I remembered it. And you kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'll bring it up, and I want to hear what you have to say about kind of like the special effects of like how they like edited some of the shadows of like the monsters, and it just like didn't look very good. Like, do you remember that in the movie?
Not really. I'm not the one to look for special effects, like as far as like quality goes. You mentioned it when we were watching it, and I was like, I didn't notice it at all.
Okay, well that's fine, because I have something to say about it. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and like one of my guilty pleasures is watching like fake horror or like scary videos on YouTube, and like you find like a lot of like poorly edited, like, oh, did you see that demon like in the corner of the video, and like they're all like super badly edited, and they're it's like someone like photoshopped someone's face like blurred out. That's kind of what the special effects looked like in The Grudge. Like that's how I felt watching it. It's like, pretty sure I saw that on YouTube. Like I could see that content, like any like kid in their dorm could have made that. Like it wasn't like, wow, that was scary, or like that was like a lot of work went into that. It just didn't seem like that.
I think, yeah, you talked about this, like the only time that there was like a good jump scare was one scene where basically the main character had a run-in with the Grudge, and I guess that's what they call it, curse, like, and then the monster, and like she like, I can't remember what happened, but she like narrowly got away from like doing something crazy. So she ran to her son's room to check on him, and then her son was in the bed and was like, "What's going on, like, Mom?" And her son got up and started to run towards him, and then the monster transitioned to the Grudge, and then almost hugged his mom. I was like, "Oh wow!" Like I was not expecting that, and like it was kind of a clever use of like transition, and that's probably the only time I was like legitimately frightened at all. And I was more excited that like there was a good jump scare than like actually scared.
Yeah, I mean, there was like, I don't think there was any part of the movie that there was like a lot of build up. Like I think all of it was just like shock and awe. Like,
yeah,
here's a jump scare, like, and here's some exposition, and here's a bunch of narrative, and like there's nothing like seriously, I've like said this already, but there's nothing seriously compelling in the movie to like keep you interested in what's going on. Like you don't care about any of the characters,
because they die off in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, like you have no emotional attachment to even the main character. Like
you see your son like 3 times in the whole movie. It's like, oh he's there.
Gotta save my son.
Like he was just like getting taken care of by an invisible grandma. Like,
yeah. Oh, and that was like another thing that like kind of frustrated me in the movie is like she's like this big shot detective. Well, maybe not a big shot, but she's a detective, and like she's like working like these like
insane hours.
Yeah, like 23 hours a day, and like never sees her son. But like, who the heck is taking care of her son? She just like comes home and he's like there. He's like,
fine.
Did you pay a babysitter? Like, did we like just not see that part? Like, it's one of those like continuate, like there's just like things that you like isn't a big deal, but it like kind of is a big deal.
I mean, and like movies that do those things well are like things like The Babadook, that like,
oh gosh,
it's like they kind of like the mom is not taking care of her child, and you see that, and there's like kind of that mental health struggle.
Yeah,
and like that could have been like a venue that they went down with this. But
talk about one of the greatest horror movies like of all time.
Oh yeah, I watched it again recently, and it wasn't nearly as good, mainly because I saw how low budget it was. But like the first time I watched it, I was like, it's so good,
well done, very well done,
really good kind of.
I remember the first time I watched that, I was not expecting at all like that level of like spooks, and it absolutely terrified me. I was like, what the heck did I just watch?
But I think what kind of brings it home for this movie is like there's like a lot of kind of, it's just cheap and missed opportunities. Like everything that they try to do was just kind of already done before. And anything that they could have expounded upon, like maybe some mental health struggles or like new creative ways to define the series, there's like, we're not going to do it. We're just going to go stick with the formula, keep the franchise rights because that's what they're about, and keep on making these movies.
Yeah, just a couple things, or maybe more than a couple things that I noticed in the movie. If you end up going to see it, some things you can look out for. The police station, the road number is 666, which I thought was like super on the nose, kind of obvious, like. Yeah, it was spooky. 666,
what's gonna happen?
Police station. Like, yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny. And one of the things that, like, I mentioned this earlier, one of the things that, like, absolutely made no sense to me, and I think there's something to say about it, is the assisted suicide doctor that the elderly couple called basically to, like, help, like, ease the pain of this, like, dementia-ridden lady who's just, like, having a miserable time, and the husband's, like, sad for his wife, but also like, I can't take any more of this. And like, she like comes to like visit to see like just how bad it is, and she's like, she has dementia, like she's crazy, like I can't like help someone die that's not in their right mind. And like, if you think about all the other horror movies you've seen, if you are a person that goes to see that kind of stuff, what is like one of the first things that they do? They call someone to come exorcise the demon. And like, this is essentially the exact same formula where they're calling someone to like take care of my problem, exorcise the demon, but they just like couldn't even be bothered to like change the story to make it a little bit more interesting, to where like it was just like, it wasn't subvert at all. It was like all very overt, and like they just like were like, hey, the lady was just like, I can't help you, like it's literally not my job, like you obviously have a bigger problem than what this is. And I just thought it was kind of like lazy. Like you could have done so much more with that whole idea of like bringing in assisted suicide doctor and doing something interesting and cool, but they didn't do that. So
also, she was wanted by the FBI. They just mentioned that, and then they never talk about it again. It's like, oh man, totally like forgot. I'm excited to see like where this goes, and then never bring it up again.
Yeah, she dies in like a terrible car crash because the demon like follows her as she's like trying to escape the house. That's like a great point. Like, she's wanted by the FBI for being an assisted suicide doctor, which is super illegal.
Which,
like,
yeah, how did they find her? Like, or just like looking through the Yelp page?
She was dead on the side of a road.
Well, no, I'm sorry. How did Faith and then her husband find her?
The black market. Dark web.
That's it.
There's your answer. Dark web.
They knew. She knew.
Any last thoughts on The Grudge?
No, I mean, like, it was a fun movie, but I wouldn't go see it again.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna rate it, if you don't mind, unless you have a last thought.
I'll wait. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a C tier, just because I don't think it's a D tier movie, because it doesn't like suck, but like. Nick's okay. Like debatable,
it's but bad.
Like I wouldn't, like, I've walked out of movies before, and like I wouldn't walk out of that movie. Like, I had hope and I was disappointed, but like it wasn't just outright bad.
Do you want to admit to the audience that you almost walked out of Uncut Gems?
Yes, I do.
Ooh.
But that was for other reasons.
Okay.
Well,
fair enough.
I was allergic, and the movie's really stressed. I was allergic to what I was drinking. So my throat was clogging up, or not clogging up, but I was having a hard time breathing, and also the movie was very stressful.
I'd say it's a fair reason. All right. So you gave it a C.
Yeah.
Fair enough. My last thought is it wasn't good in 2004. It's still not good. It's about 5 years too late. They should end the Grudge franchise and call it quits. I'm going to also give it a C for being just bad in general, but just being unoriginal. And I'm super big on originality in movies. Like, even if you're reusing content or reusing a story, or just doing something that has been done a lot, I'm about finding creative ways to make it new. And it just didn't seem like the effort went into doing that. So we can agree. C
tier movie.
C tier movie.
Not as bad as Death House. Not as good as any other movies we've seen.
Not as bad as Death House, that's for sure.
All right, Nick. Kind of transitioning to the next stage. What have you been playing lately, or have you been playing a lot of things? I feel like you've been playing a lot of things.
Yeah, so it's funny. I went through this whole phase of like playing nothing interesting, and now I'm playing a bunch of different stuff. So it's kind of exciting.
Oh, I heard you got some new hardware.
What'd you get? That's what I was going to talk about. Is my wife and I got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas.
That's
was
awesome.
Our present to each other. It's pretty awesome. Like, I'm embarrassed that I am this far behind the curve with the whole Nintendo Switch. Like, it's freaking amazing. Like, you can put it in the little docking station, and it automatically casts your TV, and then you can just take it off, put the controls on, play wherever, just like the original Game Boy or DS or 3DS or whatever you grew up with. It's like nostalgia, like, and the GameCube, like, all wrapped into one. It's pretty awesome.
It's probably the best Nintendo console ever made.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, is like, I was like super debating on whether Hannah and I should get it or not, but they just came out with the Switch Lite, which tells me they're like super committed to this. Like, this is like their long-term solution for the time being. So I was like, yeah, let's get it. Nintendo's like really bad about not having any like sale deals or anything.
Oh yeah,
and like for once they actually had like it was like a laughable amount, like only like $50 off. Like, when
so did you get the Lite or the normal version?
The normal. Like,
okay.
I've heard really bad things about the Lite, to be honest. You might as well get like the full-blooded version of the Switch if you're going to get it, just because your capability isn't limited like it is on the Lite. You don't get the like Joy-Con controllers or anything like that. And we also bought a bunch of Joy-Con controllers, so like people can come over and like play Smash Brothers, Super Mario Party. We got all the classics. So she's been playing Legend of Zelda. Wait, it's not called Legend of Zelda.
Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Zelda Breath of the Wild. Wow, gosh.
Well, I don't know.
I'm used to saying
I mean, every other game's called Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, so she's been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, which has been really entertaining to watch her like get into a video game, which is like not really like the norm for her.
Oh, she trash talks video games all the time.
Yeah, she loves it though. She's like obsessed. I think she tweeted like either yesterday or today, she like can't wait to go home and play Zelda.
That's awesome.
So
has she beat it yet, or is she still working?
She hasn't beat it, but she's like impressively good at it. She's probably better than I am. Sometimes I have to like help with a puzzle or two, but
yeah, those are hard. Honestly,
they're really hard puzzles. But we just got Super Mario Odyssey. I've played a little bit of that. I haven't really gotten into it yet. I'm sure that it's going to be a really fantastic game. What about you? I have a couple others, but I want to let you talk for a little bit.
Well, I've been kind of void of video games lately. It's kind of disappointing. Actually, the only game I've really played in the past month and a half. So Halo Reach got launched onto the Master Chief Collection, and also the PC, which I think the whole Master Chief Collection is now on PC, but I didn't care about the other, like, I just wanted to play Halo Reach because that was the game that got me kind of hooked on Xbox 360.
I saw that you have been playing a lot of that, just like random times.
And like that's been really fun, but I've kind of come to realize that I don't really like playing video games. I don't really like playing video games by myself as much. I like to, it's got to be like a social experience for me. And like that's what, when I played it originally back in high school and I guess college, I would be playing with like my friends all the time. And I did really enjoy playing by myself, but like I was like playing, anticipating that they would get on and they would play together. But I tried to get some friends to play it. Gabe, you disappointed me. I'll forgive you, man.
I miss you, Gabe.
I do forgive you. And then like I actually hit up some of my old friends and they didn't reach back at, well, my friend Taylor did reach back to me. But
this is turning out to be a sad story.
Yeah. But I mean, Halo Reach is very fun, and like basically what they took out, or they reduced and / took out some of the bad parts of the game that were kind of random, and then they added like some stuff that was fun, and like it had some kind of hype to it the first like 2 weeks or so. Like a lot of people were playing it. Ninja, that's how I started watching Ninja. I joined that, jumped on that bandwagon back in 2011.
Yikes.
He was a Halo Reach pro actually, and I watched him play.
I didn't realize he went back that far. I honestly
he was one of the original. He played on Justin TV, which if you know what that is,
that's old.
It's like 2010, 2009, I think maybe. But
that takes me back.
He was just he's a fun streamer to watch, and like he was a little bit more toxic back in Halo Reach days.
He's a little more family friendly now.
A little bit more family friendly, but I mean, it's good to see him and then other people that I watch or have watched before playing Halo again. And I thought they have a ranking system in for every playlist, and I guess ranked. And I was going to try and get a 50, which is the highest rank, but I remember one day I spent 20 minutes looking for a game. I was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen.
Not in your lifetime.
There might be more people playing on the PC, which actually I've heard that the controller, if you play with the controller on PC, it's like broken because there's like aim assist.
Oh,
there's
really?
More aim assist, which you can aim more accurately with a mouse and keyboard if you know what you're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing with a mouse and keyboard. So like controllers I'm way better at aiming with my two thumbs than my wrist and arm, I guess. But it's been fun playing that again, but kind of not as excited to keep playing just because a lot of my friends aren't playing or playing with me. And it is what it is. And I guess what else? I downloaded The Witcher 3, which I haven't played yet. I probably will play it a little bit just because I really enjoyed the actual show The Witcher, but we'll see if I actually play it or not. But I feel like I'm kind of in a state where I just don't really play video games as much as I used to, and that's alright. But yeah, I'm just kind of realizing that video games are more social than like actually me having some like introvert time by myself.
Yeah, I totally get that. There's like always like these rare exceptions to the rule, and I think I'm like of the same vein where it's like more of a social thing than necessarily like a singular thing. But just beat and played and beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Hold up, question.
Yeah.
Question to the audience: am I an extrovert or not? Please tweet at us at BBB Nick and Sam.
Are you sure you want the answer to that? I think I know the answer to that one.
I mean, some people told me yes, and I'm like, okay.
I think I have a very long and I think I have an interesting answer to that, but I'm not going to answer it here.
Well, tweet at BBB Nick and Sam.
Anyways, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has gotten really good reviews. Objectively is a really good game. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and maybe not be the most popular person and say I was kind of underwhelmed. I kind of expected more. I played it just before I went on Christmas break and didn't play that much, and then came back and beat it like maybe like a day or two later, and it was like one of the shortest like story driven games I've ever played, and like the content was amazing, and like the scenes are beautiful, and like the acting and voice acting was really good, and the visuals were really good, the gameplay was really good. But as far as like a full-blooded Star Wars game goes, kind of expected more. I mean, if you take Battlefront and like compare the two and see like all the work that they put in to fix it and like get the fan base back on board with what they've done, I kind of feel like they could have done that a little bit more with Fallen Order, but like on the front end, you know, bring out that content and allow it to be like awesome. Maybe put some like extra game modes where it's just like single player, like where you have to like complete little missions and stuff, just to like maybe like you can just like fight Darth Vader, you know, like stuff like that. It seemed like some things that were missing from that game where you just like, I don't know. Tell me how I'm wrong.
It's Respawn Entertainment, dude.
Say what?
It's Respawn Entertainment because they made that game, right?
Respawn? I can't remember who made that one. I have to go back and look at my conversation.
I think Respawn's making it different, but yeah, I mean, the game seemed kind of rushed to me. as far as like actually like releasing stuff.
It was a good game. I was like pretty pleased with like the story as a whole, but when it came down to just like how much time it took to actually finish it, it just seemed like it was a little bit underwhelming. All right, Sam.
Yes.
I'm gonna move on and ask him.
Oh, Respawn Entertainment did make the game.
Okay.
That's so like Respawn Entertainment. If you're familiar with this franchise, or they made Titanfall and they made Apex Legends, and they are notorious for making great games and then not continuing to support the community. And they kind of move on to the next project, which I guess they kind of. I mean, with Titanfall, they kind of did some updates that were kind of good for the community, but Apex is left to dry. And then I feel like they're gonna.
Do you think Apex is dead?
It's from what I've seen on like Reddit and stuff, like there's not much stuff going on there, and then everyone's kind of complaining. And I haven't played it in like a couple months, so
that sucks.
But yeah, I want to play the Fallen Order because it's a short single player game, which I'm all about, and I love Star Wars. I think it'd be really cool if they kind of do a Dark Souls thing where you can get someone to join your world and maybe have some like creative bosses or something.
Well, so and that's the thing is like, and I think you're hitting on the point that I'm trying to make is that's one of the things that they could have done to make it a little bit more substantial. They didn't do that because like the gameplay is basically Dark Souls. Because like if you turn it down on like the movie mode, like you basically can't die.
Okay.
But like you can turn the difficulty up and it is Dark Souls. Like you get hit once and you're dead.
Okay.
So and you have like a couple lives and then you gotta start from like a checkpoint or something.
Okay.
And lose progress, but it like the gameplay is very much Dark Soulsy. But I think there were some missed opportunities in like making the content and like the community gameplay like a little bit more entertaining to where like you can actually come back and play it instead of like, oh, I beat it, that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like they were making like a good game to stream.
That's true.
Like just kind of like a movie experience.
Yeah.
And then, which I mean, it's Star Wars, but it'd be interesting what they see if they do anything with the game in a few months. But what were you gonna ask me?
Let's do Twitter questions.
Okay.
We finally have some Twitter questions. If you are listening and you want to have your question asked on Twitter, we'll give you a shout out. We'll ask your question and we'll answer it.
Do you have their Twitter handles by chance?
I don't, but I can pull it up while I'm talking.
All right. So Josh sent us some few questions. He actually sent us 2 questions. So thank you so much. We will get your Twitter handle in just a second. But his first question that he asked us was, what is for the year of 2019, what is our favorite show? What's our favorite game? What's our favorite book? And what's our favorite movie? I assume this doesn't mean what came out in 2019, but what we actually watched in 2019, because I have not read a book that came out this year. But what's Josh's Twitter handle?
So at Josh Loremaster asks us what is our favorite show, game, book, and movie of the year. And Sam, you do or you don't have a book?
I do have a book.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just gonna go down my list.
Okay.
My favorite show this year that I watched this year was Dragon Prince. Actually, I'm pretty sure seasons 2 and 3 came out in 2019, but if you've seen the show Avatar, it's the same creators and same writers as that. So it's like very kind of family friendly, like really good story, a lot of depth in the characters. And if you really liked Avatar, you'd really like the show. And like, I can't wait for I think there's gonna be 7 seasons that they confirmed.
7? How many are already out?
3.
Good
and
Lord.
Apparently the show is gonna get taken down by Netflix, but I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I heard that there's a petition and like basically like all the fans like
those always work.
Yeah, the fans were like you gotta keep the show going, and Netflix is like, all right, like we'll keep it going. And then my favorite game this year was probably Apex Legends. I had a great time playing with you guys. You guys is Nick or Joey didn't play it. Oh my gosh, Joey, come on.
Still one of the saddest things.
Still a little
saddest moment of the year is Joey not playing Apex.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have liked that game, honestly. But and then Alex and then a few friends but I had a lot of fun playing with random people, which is like kind of interesting because it basically was like a 3-person team for every time you played. So you were forced into a team atmosphere all the time, and I really like playing team games. And it was just a shooter, and it was fast paced, and it was a lot of fun. But my favorite book this year was I read Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and if you like high fantasy novels, then you would love this book. It's basically Lord of the Rings, but less slow. Like the writing style and kind of the intricacies of the words and prose that is there, but it's still got the fast-paced high fantasy that a lot of people love.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna do an episode on Name of the Wind because I've also read that and it's fantastic.
I need to read the second one. I have a
Wise Man's Fear.
Yeah, Wise Man's Fear. I have a goal of reading 8 books this year, which that's on my list, and I definitely think I can do that. But
you can do it. I believe in you.
Oh yeah, I believe in myself. It's just a matter of
my wife's a librarian, so
she reads probably like 100 books a year.
She
chump change
does about that, and
probably 8 books in a month.
I read like more books than I probably normally would just by proxy. So
you basically read the books that she reads, probably like. And
some audiobooks are thrown in there that I have under my belt.
Yeah, but
what else we got for you?
My favorite movie is definitely Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and why can't I think of the director's name? Quentin Tarantino.
I've heard so many good things about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, like, if you love Quentin Tarantino, you love this movie, and if you don't love Quentin Tarantino, you'll love this movie. It's kind of usually what you expect with Quentin Tarantino is that like blood. It's going to be a gore fest yeah. And like just like killer actors, and then like just a fun story. But I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is not a whole lot of gore in this movie. And Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio just kill it. And Margot Robbie does a really good job too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the kind of the duo that's between Brad Pitt and Leonardo was just like really good. The writing was fantastic. And it was kind of... The movie was set kind of when Charles Manson was popular, and it kind of goes into the story of these two... actors, or an actor and a stunt man, and it's just a really fun movie, and I love it. What about you, Nick? What are
Did you get all yours?
Yeah, I got all 4.
Awesome. So, I know this is going to be like yawn, like this is everyone's favorite show of the year, but Mandalorian is like hands down my favorite show of the year. The best Star Wars content that has been put out other than Empire Strikes Back, which is also I'm going to cheat a little bit. That's my favorite movie of the year, even though it didn't come out in 2019. Obviously, I rewatched all the Star Wars movies in preparation for Rise of Skywalker, and I was just reminded of the quality and story and like just how incredibly epic Empire Strikes Back is. It is hands down the best Star Wars movie and content that has ever been put out. I will fight you on that. Like, if you want to argue with me on Twitter, I will go to war. Like, Empire Strikes Back beats everything else. But
fight him. Nick.
Mandalorian,
BBB,
by far my favorite. Mandalorian, by far my favorite show. I'm super excited that the Star Wars universe is getting expanded, kind of put into live action. We get to see more of things that we've been asking for as an audience, and I think that is a step in the right direction. There's never a bad day when Jon Favreau is at the helm, and as long as he is directing and like kind of leading things, I'm 100% behind it.
Also, the original person who did the soundtrack is, I'm pretty sure, the soundtrack director for Mandalorian, and I can't remember his name. I think it's Justin Williams.
John Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's good.
But yeah, I super love the idea of like paying homage to like spaghetti westerns, and I really like that style. So I'm all in on Mandalorian, all in on Empire Strikes Back. My favorite book that I read, and probably doesn't count for 2019, but I'm still gonna say it, is Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. Which, if you don't know who Greg Sestero is, he is one of the actors in the movie The Room, which is arguably one of the greatest cult B movies of all time. It's regarded as like one of the worst movies ever made, but also has one of the biggest cult followings that has ever existed. It's a really hilarious movie to go see with other people. I got to meet Greg Sestero. He came to Greensboro.
That's crazy.
He came to Greensboro. He signed my book. Got to meet him and watch The Room with him, and hear him talk about the book Disaster Artist and just some stuff that he got to do with Tommy Wiseau. So if you haven't read that book or checked out anything about Disaster Artist or seen that movie, they actually made a movie about a movie, you should go check it out. It's pretty entertaining, pretty cool, really good insight into the mind of Tommy Wiseau. Game of the year, Apex Legends. Like, I don't really play it anymore, but if I have to take all of 2019 into account, like, I got the most enjoyment out of Apex Legends. Really, really entertaining. Like, got to play with a lot of friends. Like, I just like can't make an argument against it for being game of the year for me. So looking forward to seeing what 2020 brings. Hopefully, I kind of want to pick it back up and start playing again, so we'll see what happens. But I got actually one more Twitter question from our friend Alex. Thoughts on Rise of Skywalker, Sam?
I was pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised. Interesting.
Yeah. I had zero expectations for the movie, and I got a free ticket, so I don't think I can really be disappointed.
I don't know if that's a condemnation or praise of the movie.
I mean, like, what I really liked about the movie is that they kind of developed Rey and Kylo more, and they also, well, I guess they didn't introduce new Force abilities because one of them was in The Mandalorian, but they introduced it to a bigger audience with like Force healing and just like some crazy Force powers, and like I thought that was really cool. There definitely was a lot of plot holes, and I'm okay with that. But
that's the whole Star Wars franchise. Is plot holes.
True. Yeah, that's actually very true.
So it's like one of those things where it's like take it or leave it, and those are exactly my thoughts. Is, you know, it is. I could sit here all night and probably like debate the pros and cons of Rise of Skywalker, Return, or Last Jedi, and Force Awakens, which, you know, I have some strong thoughts on Force Awakens. I didn't like it, and a lot of people did. And like I said, I'm all about originality, and I didn't think it was original. I really loved Last Jedi, and a lot of people didn't. And I really liked Rise of Skywalker, and a lot of people didn't. So I think there's a huge part of the Star Wars community that's super negative and wants to hate on everything that comes out, or will find any excuse to be angry. And like, The Mandalorian is not perfect either. Like, I could probably pick out some things that aren't good about The Mandalorian, but it's what we asked for. And I feel like there's a lot of things in Rise of Skywalker that the community has asked for. It may not be how they want it, but I thought it was pretty good. Like, it was really, really cool to see a modern day depiction of the Emperor versus the Jedi. And like, that's something that we haven't seen like yet. And I think that's really cool. So I'm not going to get too far into how I feel about Rise of Skywalker, because I feel like I could talk myself into circles about the Star Wars franchise.
About Rise of Skywalker that much.
Yeah, so
talked about too much.
Yeah, I think I liked it. I think it was pretty good. And that's the thing about, I think, the three new Star Wars movies is you can either like them more or like them less the more you see them. And I think I need to see Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker a couple more times before I can really give like my definitive opinion on how I feel about them. So I've only seen them a couple times, and I feel like that's not enough.
Yeah,
to really say.
I thought The Phantom Menace was a good movie when it came out.
I did too, and it's like regarded as the worst, and I'm like, hey, it's not bad.
I see where people are coming from, but I still like have some nostalgia.
It should probably be on our list of B movies because it's pretty bad, but it is not bad in the sense, if you take it into the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's really that bad. Mm-hmm. But
it sets up the world in a good way.
Yeah, I don't think it aged. I think it aged better than. I think it has aged better in the past few years than it has in the past like 5 or 6 years. So, anyways.
Okay.
Let's see.
We got another question from Josh. This one's super easy. What is coming up for the first quarter as far as movies go? I think, Josh, for the first we're gonna watch is Trolls 2, which is kind of a classic, and it's rated as one of the worst movies of all time, and I'm excited to watch it because I haven't seen it in a while. Well, yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. And what's the next one that we're gonna watch after that?
I'm excited about Trolls 2, but I'm really excited about this one just because it sounds so fun. Birdemic, Shock and Terror. That's Bird, B-I-R-D, Birdemic, Shock and Terror. I'm guessing it's about a plague of birds.
Yeah. I'm glad you every time you say it, you like chuckle to yourself, and I'm glad that it brings you joy, Nick.
It's just it already has me really happy that it just exists. If you want to watch those movies, and that way you kind of like have your own opinions or thoughts on them.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so like go ahead and watch them. Like Trolls 2, Birdemic, Shock and Terror. Those are the next two that we're gonna do. So go watch them. Tweet at us. Tell us what you think. We can talk about some of those thoughts on the pod.
Or text us and we can watch them together.
Yeah, you probably have our number. We could do a viewing party.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have you on the podcast. So, Sam. 2020, is that going to be your year?
I hope so. So far, it's been a pretty good year. Yeah, work's good. Work's starting to pick up.
It's only the 8th.
Yeah, social life, still killing it. And then if we get this podcast rolling, I feel like we just gotta keep. I need to stop bailing. That's kind of what needs to happen. But it'll be fun, and I'm excited.
No, it's good. We're having a lot of fun doing this. I'm super excited about it. In the past day or so, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people just on the couple episodes we've already put out. So that's motivation for me to keep going and keep doing it, even if it's just for fun. I have a closing question for you before we end.
What's up? What
will the next Call of Duty game be called after World War III?
I saw what you
can't
put.
Copy what I put.
That's pretty funny.
I know.
I feel like Call of Duty Sticks and Stones. It's like, the quote, it's like, I don't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. It's like, oh crap.
So just get ready. It'll be the Xbox
720. 420 blaze it.
Xbox 720, 420 blaze it. Call of Duty Meme Warfares. And it'll just be, on the cover will be a picture of all of Donald Trump's tweets, and Kim Jong-un will be in the background, and Putin, and it'll just be a bunch of memes, shot at each other, and a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of, big men crying over meaningless things.
Yeah.
So Call of Duty Meme Warfare on shelves 2025 is coming.
All right.
I'm telling you.
Thank you for tuning in to Beers, B-Movies, and Battle Royales. If you have any questions, please tweet us at BBB Nick and Sam. And we're going to be watching Trolls 2, so please watch that with us. Why can I not talk right now? And once again, thank you to Appalachian Mountain Brewery and your Slice of Paradise Sour Ale. It's great, and I'm excited to finish the 6-pack in the future. And if you have any beers that you would like to recommend to us, please tweet at us.
We really want to try the beers that you guys have. So if you want to recommend some stuff or even send some to us, that'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You can donate to the beer fund.
John Thaggart, send us beer.
I just want to say, I don't know if we did this last time. I think we actually did, but I want to do it again, and maybe like every episode we give a little shout out. But I want to say thank you, Adam, for the awesome music. It gets me pumped up just thinking about the fact that we have intro and outro music for a podcast, and just like how excellent the quality is. So huge thank you to Adam for the music.
Yes, thank you.
So if you guys use Stitcher, we're on Stitcher. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're also
not
on
on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, what?
That costs money.
Yikes. Okay, so if you have Spotify, if you have Stitcher, we're on both of those. That actually is probably good. Let's keep it simple. Let's limit ourselves to a couple of different venues.
Yeah.
If you're super weird, you can listen to us on SoundCloud.
Dude, that's where it's at, man. But hopefully we'll have video in the future. I need to work on some lighting and figure that out. But we have the space for it. It's just a matter of actually doing it. So
One day
hopefully
we'll
be
there.
on YouTube.
All right.
And you can see our beautiful faces.
How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good.
I'll close this out. This is the BBB podcast. Until next time, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, and good night.